I got a voicemail from my own phone number. The message I left myself was a warning. My name is Alex Chen, and I'm a software engineer living in San Francisco. I'm 32 years old, single, and I live alone in a one-bedroom apartment in the Mission District. I work for a tech startup developing AI-powered security systems, which makes what happened to me even more unsettling. I understand technology. I know how systems work, how data flows, how phones communicate. What happened to me shouldn't be possible. It started on a Tuesday morning in October. I was running late for work, rushing around my apartment trying to find my laptop charger when my phone buzzed with a notification. A voicemail. I glanced at the screen while brushing my teeth and froze. The missed call was from my own number, not a similar number, not a spoofed number that looked close to mine. My exact number down to every digit. My phone showed that I had called myself at 3:47 a.m. and left a voicemail. I definitely hadn't called myself at 3:47 a.m. I'd been asleep. My first thought was a glitch. Phones do weird things sometimes. Maybe the carrier had a system error. Maybe my phone had bugged out and recorded something randomly. I almost deleted it without listening. But curiosity got the better of me. I pressed play. What I heard made my blood run cold. It was my voice. Unmistakably mine, not just similar, not someone who sounded like me, but my voice, with my exact speech patterns, my slight California accent, even the way I tend to pause before saying, when I'm thinking. But the voice sounded terrified. "Alex, listen to me carefully," my own voice said, breathing hard like I'd been running. "I don't have much time. Today is October 15th. You need to skip work. Do not go into the office today. And whatever you do not get on BART at 8:47 a.m. Do you understand? Do not get on the train at 8:47. If you do, you'll—" The message cut off abruptly. That was it. 30 seconds of my own voice warning me not to go to work, not to take BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit System I took every single morning, at a very specific time. I stood in my bathroom, toothbrush still in my hand, staring at my phone. My heart was pounding. This was a prank. Had to be. Someone had used AI to clone my voice, somehow spoofed my number and was messing with me. It was elaborate, sure, but not impossible. Voice cloning technology was getting scary good. I worked in tech. I knew this. But who would do this and why? I didn't have enemies. I kept to myself mostly. Had a small circle of friends, didn't engage in office politics. Nobody had a reason to prank me like this. I checked the timestamp again. 3:47 a.m. I pulled up my phone's activity log. According to my phone, it had been locked and inactive from 11:32 p.m. until 6:15 a.m. when my alarm went off. There was no record of any call being placed at 3:47 a.m. Yet the voicemail existed. I played it again, listening more carefully this time. Do not get on BART at 8:47 a.m. Do you understand? Do not get on the train at 8:47. If you do, you'll— The way my voice cracked on that last word, the genuine fear in it, the heavy breathing. If this was AI, it was the most sophisticated voice clone I'd ever heard. And I'd heard a lot. We tested voice authentication systems at work. This was too good. Too real. I looked at the time. 7:23 a.m. I needed to leave in about 15 minutes to catch my usual train. The 8:47 BART train from 16th Street Mission to Montgomery Station. The train I took every single weekday morning. This was insane. I was actually considering taking advice from a mysterious voicemail that claimed to be from myself. But the voice, the fear in it was so genuine, so real. I made a decision. I called in sick to work. "Hey Marcus, it's Alex," I told my manager. "I'm not feeling great. Think I picked up something. Going to work from home today." "No problem, man," Marcus said. "Feel better. We've got the sprint planning at 2. Can you dial in for that?" "Yeah, I'll be there." I hung up and sat on my couch, still in my pajamas, watching the clock. 8:47 a.m. came and went. Nothing happened. I felt ridiculous. I'd just skipped work because of a weird voicemail. But around 9:15 a.m., my phone started blowing up. Text messages from coworkers, news alerts. I opened them with shaking hands. Breaking. Major BART delays after equipment failure. BART. Halted. Smoke. Report in Transbay tube. Multiple injuries in BART. Emergency evacuation. I clicked on the news article. At approximately 8:52 a.m., a BART train had experienced a catastrophic electrical failure in the Transbay tube, the underwater tunnel connecting San Francisco to Oakland. Smoke had filled the cars. The train had stopped dead in the tunnel. Passengers had been evacuated through the emergency walkway, but several people had been injured in the panic. 2 people had been hospitalized with smoke inhalation. The train in question. The 8:47 a.m. from 16th Street Mission to Montgomery Station. My train. The exact train I took every single day. If I'd gone to work, I would have been on that train. The voicemail had saved my life. I sat there, numb, staring at my phone. This wasn't possible. This couldn't be real, but it was. The voicemail had warned me with specific details, the date, the time, the train, and it had been right. My hands trembling, I saved the voicemail. Then I listened to it again, and again, trying to understand. The voice was mine. The fear was real, and the warning had been accurate. But how? How had I called myself from the future? How had I known what was going to happen? This violated everything I understood about reality, about time, about physics. I tried to think rationally. Coincidence. Maybe I'd received the voicemail for some other reason, and by pure chance there happened to be a BART incident. But the specificity, the exact time, the exact train, that couldn't be coincidence. I needed to talk to someone, but who would believe me? I'd sound insane. "Hey, I got a voicemail from myself warning me about the future, and it came true." Yeah, that would go over well. I decided to document everything. I took screenshots of the call log, the voicemail, the news articles. I backed up the audio file to 3 different cloud services. If I was losing my mind, at least I'd have evidence of it. The rest of the day passed in a blur. I couldn't focus on work. Kept refreshing news sites for updates on the BART incident. 2 people hospitalized. Dozens treated for minor injuries and smoke inhalation. It could have been so much worse. I could have been one of them. That night I barely slept. I kept my phone on my nightstand, volume turned all the way up, waiting to see if I'd get another call. But the night passed quietly, until exactly 1 week later. Tuesday morning, October 22nd. Once again I woke up to a notification, a voicemail from my own number, received at 3:47 a.m. My heart was already pounding as I pressed play. "Alex, it's me again," my voice said, calmer this time, more measured, but still urgent. "I know you listened last time. Thank you. Today, October 22nd. Do not answer your door at 7:15 p.m. I don't care who it is, what they say, do not open that door. Lock it, turn off the lights, pretend you're not home. This is critical. Do not answer the door at 7:15 p.m. The message ended. I checked my phone's activity log again. Nothing. No call placed at 3:47 a.m. The phone had been locked and inactive. Yet here was another voicemail from my own number. This time I didn't hesitate. I believed it. The first warning had saved my life. I wasn't going to ignore the second one. All day at work, I was distracted. 7:15 p.m. Don't answer the door. What was going to happen? Who would come to my door? Why was it dangerous? I left work early, got home by 6 p.m. I made sure all my doors were locked, closed all the blinds, turned off most of the lights. At 7:10 p.m., I sat in my darkened living room, phone in hand, watching my front door through the peephole. At exactly 7:14 p.m., I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my apartment. They stopped at my door. A knock, 3 sharp raps. I held my breath, peering through the peephole. A man stood there, middle-aged, wearing a delivery uniform, holding a clipboard. He looked completely normal. "Package for Alex Chen," he called out. I wasn't expecting a package. I checked my phone. No delivery notifications from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, nothing. The man knocked again. "Mr. Chen, I need a signature." Every instinct told me to open the door. It was just a delivery guy. What harm could there be? But the voicemail had been specific. Do not answer the door at 7:15 p.m. "Just leave it outside," I called through the door. "I need a signature, sir. Company policy. I'm not available right now. Come back tomorrow." There was a pause. Then, "Mr. Chen, I really need you to open the door. This package is time-sensitive." Something about his tone had changed. It was harder now, more insistent. Less like a delivery driver, more like someone used to being obeyed. "No thanks," I said firmly. Another pause. Longer this time. Then I heard the man say something quietly. I couldn't make out the words. Was he talking to someone else? Into a radio or phone? Through the peephole, I watched him look up and down the hallway, then reach into his pocket. He pulled out something small and metallic. My blood ran cold when I realized what it was. Lock-picking tools. He wasn't a delivery driver. He was trying to break into my apartment. I stumbled backward from the door, grabbing my phone, dialing 911. 911, what's your emergency? "There's someone trying to break into my apartment," I said, keeping my voice low. "He's picking my lock right now. I live at—" I gave them my address. The operator told me to stay on the line, that police were on their way. Through the door, I could hear scraping sounds. The man was working on my lock. How long would it take him to get through? Then suddenly, I heard other voices in the hallway. Loud voices. "Hey, what are you doing?" My neighbor, Mrs. Kowalski, must have come out of her apartment. "Maintenance," the man said smoothly, checking a reported gas leak. "In a delivery uniform." Mrs. Kowalski sounded skeptical. "And with lockpicks. I'm calling the police." "That won't be necessary, ma'am." "I'm calling them right now." I heard rapid footsteps, the man running, then sirens in the distance, getting closer. The police arrived minutes later. They searched the building, but the man was gone. Mrs. Kowalski gave them a description. White male, 40s, fake delivery uniform, carrying lockpicks and a clipboard. They checked the apartment complex's security footage. The man had entered the building behind another tenant, keeping his face turned away from cameras. No clear shot of his face. He'd gone straight to my door at 7:14 p.m. Do you have any idea why someone would want to break into your apartment? The officer asked me. I thought about the voicemails, about warnings from my future self, about impossible phone calls at 3:47 a.m. I thought about telling the police everything. But instead, I just said, no, no idea. After the police left, I sat in my locked apartment, mind racing. 2 voicemails, 2 warnings, both accurate, both potentially life-saving. But who was trying to break in, and why? And how did I, future me, know it was going to happen? I spent hours that night trying to make sense of it. Time travel wasn't real, that was fiction. But what else could explain voicemails from my future self? What else could explain knowing exactly when a BART train would fail, exactly when someone would try to break into my apartment? Unless this wasn't time travel at all. What if it was something else? I thought about my work. AI security systems, pattern recognition, predictive algorithms. What if there was some system, some AI, that could analyze patterns and predict events? What if it could predict a BART failure based on maintenance schedules and equipment data? What if it could predict a break-in based on what? That didn't explain the voice. My exact voice, my speech patterns, my fear. AI could clone voices, but it couldn't feel fear. I was missing something. There had to be an explanation that didn't involve time travel or supernatural intervention. I just couldn't see it yet. 1 week later, it happened again. October 29th, another voicemail from my own number at 3:47 a.m. Alex, you're probably trying to figure this out. My voice said. I understand, I was too at first. But there's no time for explanations now. Today you need to call Sarah Martinez from work. Call her at exactly 2:30 p.m. Tell her not to take the meeting with Vertex Corp. Tell her it's a trap. She'll want to know how you know. Just tell her to trust you. This is important. Sarah's life depends on it. The message ended. Sarah Martinez. I knew her. She was a senior developer at our company, worked on a different team. We'd talked a few times at company events. Seemed nice, but we weren't close. Why would she be in danger? What meeting with Vertex Corp? I checked our company calendar. Sure enough, Sarah had a meeting scheduled for 3 p.m. with representatives from Vertex Corp. It was listed as partnership discussion. At 2:30 p.m. exactly, I called her desk extension. Hey Sarah, it's Alex from the security team. Oh, hey Alex, what's up? This is going to sound really weird, I said, but I need you to cancel your 3 p.m. meeting with Vertex Corp. There was a long pause. What? Why? I can't fully explain, but please trust me. Don't go to that meeting. It's not safe. Alex, what are you talking about? How do you even know about that meeting? It's with my team. I know this sounds insane, I said, but I have information that meeting is dangerous. Just trust me, please. Information from where? Sarah sounded both confused and annoyed now. Alex, I don't know what you think you know, but I've been setting up this meeting for weeks. Vertex is a major potential partner. I can't just... Please, I interrupted. Just this once. Reschedule it. Or go somewhere public if you have to take it. Don't go wherever they're planning to take you. Please. Sarah was quiet for a moment. This is really weird, Alex. You're kind of freaking me out. I know. I'm sorry. But will you do it? Will you at least change the location? She sighed. Fine. I'll see if we can move it to a conference room here instead of their office. But you owe me an explanation for this. Thank you, I said. I promise I'll explain when I can. I hung up and waited. Would anything happen? Or would this be the first time the voicemail was wrong? Around 4 p.m., the office erupted in chaos. People gathered around computers, phones out, voices raised in shock. I walked over to a cluster of my coworkers. "What's going on?" "Did you hear?" Maya from finance said. "The Vertex Corp office just got raided by the FBI like full tactical team, arrests, everything. It's all over the news." I pulled out my phone and searched. Sure enough, Vertex Corp, a tech startup that had been gaining prominence, was actually a front for a sophisticated corporate espionage ring. They'd been stealing trade secrets from companies by inviting employees to partnership meetings and then coercing them into giving up confidential information. Several people had been threatened. Some had been assaulted. The FBI had arrested 6 people at their office at approximately 3:15 p.m. If Sarah had gone to that meeting at their office, she would have been there during the raid. At best, she'd have been caught up in a terrifying situation. At worst, well, several previous victims had been hospitalized. Sarah appeared at my desk an hour later, looking shaken. "Alex," she said quietly, "how did you know? Can we talk? Somewhere private." We went to an empty conference room. I closed the door. "I'm going to tell you something that's going to sound completely insane," I said, "but I need you to hear me out." And I told her everything: the voicemails, the warnings, the BART train, the attempted break-in, and today's call about her. Sarah listened, her expression shifting from skeptical to alarm to something like wonder. "Do you still have the recordings?" she asked. I played her the voicemails. She listened to all 3, her eyes widening. "That's your voice," she said. "That's definitely your voice." "But how?" "I don't know," I admitted. "I've been trying to figure it out for weeks. It doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. Have you told anyone else?" "Just you. Who would believe me?" Sarah thought for a moment. "My sister is a physics professor at Stanford. She specializes in theoretical physics, space-time, causality, that kind of thing. Maybe we should talk to her." I nodded. At this point, I was willing to try anything to understand what was happening. We met with Sarah's sister, Dr. Elena Martinez, the next evening at a coffee shop near Stanford's campus. I showed her everything: the voicemails, the documentation, the news articles that corroborated each warning. Dr. Martinez listened carefully, occasionally asking questions. When I finished, she sat back, looking troubled. "In theory," she said slowly, "there are models of physics that allow for what are called closed time-like curves, essentially paths through space-time that loop back on themselves. If such things exist, information could theoretically travel backward in time." "So time travel is possible?" I asked. "In extremely specific circumstances, and most physicists believe it's impossible in practice, even if it's mathematically possible in theory. The energy requirements alone would be astronomical. And there's the grandfather paradox to consider." "What's that?" Sarah interrupted. "If you go back in time and prevent your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, you'd never be born. So how could you have gone back in time in the first place? It's a logical impossibility." "But what if you're not changing the past?" I said, thinking out loud. What if it always happened this way? What if I was always going to get these voicemails, always going to skip that train, always going to save Sarah? Dr. Martinez nodded slowly. "That's called the Novikov self-consistency principle. Events in the past are immutable. Anything a time traveler does was always part of history. You can't change the past because you already didn't." "So these voicemails," Sarah started, "if they're real, and I'm not saying they are, but if they are, Then they suggest a closed causal loop. Future Alex sends warnings to past Alex. Past Alex acts on them, creating the future in which future Alex exists to send the warnings. A self-consistent timeline. But why me? I asked. Why am I getting these? Why is future me able to send them? Dr. Martinez shook her head. I have no idea. If this is real, and again, this violates everything we understand about causality, then there would have to be something unique about you or your situation. Some connection, some ability, for lack of a better word. I thought about my work. AI systems, security, pattern recognition. Could that be connected somehow? What should I do? I asked. If this keeps happening. Document everything, Dr. Martinez said. Every voicemail, every warning, every outcome. If this is real, it's potentially the most important scientific discovery in human history. But, she hesitated. Alex, you should also see a doctor. Get a full neurological workup. Because the alternative explanation, that I'm having some kind of psychotic break, I finished. I had to say it, she said gently. Rule out the mundane before you accept the impossible. I did see a doctor. Full neurological exam, psychiatric evaluation, the works. Everything came back normal. No signs of psychosis, no brain abnormalities, no explanation for auditory hallucinations. Which left me with the impossible. The voicemails kept coming. Every Tuesday, 3:47 a.m. A call from my own number. Always a warning, always accurate. Week 4. Don't eat the sushi from Tanaka's on 4th Street. Food poisoning outbreak. You'll be hospitalized. I skipped Tanaka's. Health department shut them down that evening for improper food storage. Week 5. Power outage in your building at 6 p.m. Your laptop's battery is dead. Save your work early. I saved everything by noon. Power went out at 6:02 p.m. Everyone else lost hours of unsaved work. Week 6. Car accident at Mission and 18th at 5:45 p.m. Take Valencia instead. I took Valencia. On the news that night. Major pileup at Mission and 18th at 5:47 p.m. 3 cars involved, 2 injuries. Each warning was specific. Each came true. I started to depend on them, to plan my life around them. Sarah kept track of everything, documenting patterns, trying to find an explanation. Dr. Martinez consulted with colleagues, running the data through models, searching for answers. But the bigger question gnawed at me. Why? Why was this happening, and what came next? The warnings continued, each one teaching me something new about myself, about choices, about consequences I never would have considered. Week 7. Your mom is going to call you at 2 p.m. She's going to say everything is fine, but she's lying. She fell yesterday and is too proud to tell you. Call her first. Check on her. I called my mom at 1 p.m. She insisted she was fine, but I heard the strain in her voice. I drove to her house, 3 hours away, and found her with a sprained ankle she'd been trying to hide, not wanting to bother me. She'd been struggling alone for 2 days. If I hadn't called, if I'd waited for her to reach out, she could have fallen again, hurt herself worse. The voicemail had saved her from that. Week 8. You're going to see a dog get hit by a car at the corner of 22nd and Guerrero at 11:30 a.m. The owner will be devastated. You can prevent it. Position yourself there at 11:28. You'll know what to do. I felt ridiculous standing on that street corner, but I trusted the pattern now. At 11:29 a.m., I saw a small terrier slip out of someone's yard heading toward the street, just as a delivery truck rounded the corner. I grabbed the dog before it reached the road. The owner came running out, thanking me profusely. The delivery truck passed by seconds later. Such a small thing. But to that dog, to that owner, it was everything. Week 9. There's a fire alarm test at work at 3 p.m. It's not a test. There's an actual electrical fire starting in the server room. Alert building security at 2:45. Don't wait for the alarm. I went to security at 2:45, told them I smelled smoke near the server room. They checked, found smoldering wiring that would have ignited in minutes. They evacuated the building and called the fire department. A potential disaster averted because I spoke up 15 minutes early. My co-workers joke that I had a sixth sense now. If they only knew. Week 10 changed everything. The voicemail that morning was different. My voice sounded sad, regretful. Alex, I need to tell you something about Kate. You're going to meet her today at the coffee shop on Valencia. She'll spill coffee on your laptop. You're going to be annoyed at first, but then you'll notice how apologetic she is, how genuine. You'll end up talking for 2 hours. She's wonderful, Alex, kind, funny, creative, everything you've been looking for. And if you let yourself, you'll fall in love with her. But in my timeline, I messed it up. I was too focused on work, too closed off emotionally. I pushed her away, and losing her was one of my biggest regrets. Don't make my mistakes. When you meet Kate, be present, be open, let yourself feel. She's the best thing that could happen to you, but only if you don't sabotage it like I did. At 10:47 a.m., I was working on my laptop at Café de la Vida on Valencia when a woman stumbled into my table, sending her large coffee cascading across my keyboard. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," she gasped, grabbing napkins. "I'm such a klutz. I can't believe. Your laptop. Is it ruined?" I looked up at her. Brown eyes, dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, wearing paint-stained overalls and an expression of absolute horror. She was beautiful. "It's okay," I heard myself say, even though my laptop was definitely dead. "These things happen." "No, it's not okay," she insisted. "Please let me replace it, or at least pay for repairs. I'm Kate, by the way. Kate Morrison, professional disaster, apparently." I laughed despite the ruined laptop. "Alex, and really it's insured. Don't worry about it." "At least let me buy you a coffee to replace the work time I just destroyed," Kate said. "It's the least I can do." We talked for 3 hours. She was an artist, worked from a studio nearby, had moved to San Francisco from Portland 6 months ago. She was funny, self-deprecating, passionate about her work. She made me laugh more than I had in months. When we finally parted ways, I had her number and a date planned for Friday. The voicemail had been right. Kate was wonderful. And this time, knowing what I knew, I wasn't going to mess it up. Week 11 was darker. "Alex, you need to be very careful today. Someone has been following you for the past 3 days. White sedan, license plate 7KPR429. They're watching your apartment, tracking your movements. I don't know who they are or what they want, but today at 6 p.m., they're going to approach you in the parking garage. Don't go home the usual way. Park on the street. Call the police non-emergency line and report the vehicle. And Alex, be ready to run if you have to." I reported the vehicle. Police found it parked near my apartment. Stolen plates, no registration. When officers approached, the driver fled. They never caught him, but he never came back either. Who was he? Why was he following me? The police had theories: identity theft, stalking, maybe someone casing apartments for burglary. But I had another theory. Someone had noticed the pattern. The BART incident I'd avoided, the break-in that failed. Maybe someone was wondering how I kept avoiding danger. kept being in the right place at the right time. Or maybe someone was trying to stop me from receiving the warnings. I mentioned this to Dr. Martinez during one of our weekly meetings. By now, Sarah, Elena, and I met regularly to discuss the phenomenon, to theorize, to try to understand. If these warnings are real, Dr. Martinez said, if you're actually receiving information from a future version of yourself, then you're creating a causal loop, and causal loops are problematic. They can create paradoxes, instabilities in the timeline. What does that mean? I asked. It means that someone or something might be trying to stop the loop, to restore the normal timeline. If there are forces, natural or otherwise, that enforce temporal consistency, they might view you as a glitch that needs to be corrected. That's a terrifying thought, Sarah said. It's all theoretical, Dr. Martinez cautioned. But if we're entertaining the idea that time travel is possible, we have to entertain all the implications. That night I lay awake thinking about it. What if the universe was trying to put me back on the correct path? What if by avoiding my destiny, I was creating problems I couldn't even comprehend? But then I thought about the people I'd helped. My mom, that dog, the office building that hadn't burned down, Kate, who I never would have truly connected with if I hadn't been warned to be open. How could saving people, preventing harm, be wrong? Even if it violated the laws of physics, how could helping people be a glitch that needed correction? No. Whatever the mechanism, whatever the cost, I was going to keep listening to the warnings, keep making better choices, keep changing the timeline for the better. The answer came on week 12, December 17th. The voicemail at 3:47 a.m. was different this time, longer, and my future voice sounded exhausted, but also peaceful somehow. Alex, this is the last time I can reach you. I don't fully understand the mechanism, but I think I've figured out some of it. Every warning I've sent you has created a branch point, a moment where the timeline could have gone one way, but went another instead. These aren't predictions, they're course corrections, and each one has been building toward today. The physics are beyond me, but Dr. Martinez, in my timeline, a different Dr. Martinez, explained it like this. Imagine time as a river. Usually it flows in one direction, one channel. But, under certain quantum conditions, when consciousness interacts with space-time in specific ways, tiny rivulets can flow backward, carrying information upstream. That's what these voicemails are, information flowing backward through time, through the medium of consciousness itself. Why you? Why me? I think it's because of what we do. Our work on AI and pattern recognition, the way we've trained our mind to see connections, to predict outcomes. Somehow, some future version of our consciousness learned to send information back, maybe through quantum entanglement of neurons, maybe through some other mechanism we don't understand yet. It doesn't matter. What matters is the choice. December 17th, at 4 p.m. you'll receive an email from Proxy Tech offering you a new job. 6-figure salary, better benefits, your dream position. You're going to want to accept, but don't. That company is a front. Within 6 months, everyone who joins will be implicated in a massive fraud scheme. If you take that job, you'll lose everything, your career, your freedom, your life as you know it. I took that job, Alex. In my timeline, I took it. I ignored the red flags because the money was good and the work seemed exciting. And it destroyed me. Prison time, criminal record, everything I'd built, gone. That's where I am now in this timeline, sitting in a cell using contraband tech to send these messages back, trying to save the version of me that I used to be. But here's the thing, if you don't take that job, everything changes, the timeline shifts, and I won't exist anymore. not the version of me that's been sending you these warnings. That version of me only exists because of the mistakes I made, the path I took. If you make different choices, the right choices, you'll become a different version of me. A better version. One who doesn't need to send warnings back in time because you never went to prison, never had these regrets. So, this is goodbye, Alex. I'm erasing myself by saving you, and I'm okay with that. More than okay. It's the best thing I've ever done, the only good thing to come from all my mistakes. Trust yourself, make good choices. Love Kate, really love her, don't hold back like I did. Visit Mom more, help people when you can, and remember, the future isn't fixed. Every moment is a chance to change direction. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trusting me. Take care of yourself. You're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. This is Alex Chen, December 17th, signing off for the last time. Be better than me. You already are. The message ended. I sat there as the sun rose, listening to my own voice tell me goodbye. Tell me about sacrifice and redemption and the chance to rewrite a life. Future me was in prison, had been the whole time, using some kind of contraband technology to reach back through time, to save himself by changing his own past. And if I made different choices, that future would never exist. That version of me, suffering, imprisoned, but somehow still caring enough to reach back and help, would cease to be. I thought about paradoxes. If future me saved past me and past me never became future me, then who sent the warnings? It was circular, impossible, the kind of logic that broke down when you examined it too closely. But Dr. Martinez's words came back to me. You can't change the past because you already didn't. The Novikov self-consistency principle. If the timeline was self-consistent, then maybe future me sending these warnings was part of the timeline. Maybe I was always meant to receive them, always meant to make these choices, and future me was always meant to be the messenger who saved us both. My head hurt thinking about it, but my heart knew what to do. At 4:03 p.m. that afternoon, the email arrived. Proxy Tech, dream job, incredible offer. Everything I'd been working toward. Better pay, better title, stock options, the works. I read through it carefully. Nothing obviously wrong. They were a legitimate company on paper, growing fast, doing innovative work in AI security. My exact specialty. It was perfect. Too perfect. Just like the voicemail had warned. I looked at Kate, who was working at my kitchen table on her laptop. We'd been dating for 6 weeks now, and she'd started spending more time at my place. She looked up and smiled at me. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "Just got a job offer. Really good one." "That's amazing! Congratulations!" "I'm not going to take it," I said. Kate looked surprised. "Why not?" "Because—" I hesitated. I'd told Kate some things about the voicemails, but not everything. Because something doesn't feel right about it, and I've learned to trust my instincts. Kate nodded slowly. "I trust your instincts, too." I archived the email without responding. Then I called Sarah. "It happened," I told her. "The final warning, Proxy Tech. Are you going to accept?" she asked. "No, I'm turning it down. Which means, I think this might be the last one. Future me said if I make different choices, he won't exist to send the warnings anymore." "A self-eliminating timeline," Sarah said softly. "He's sacrificing his existence to give you a better one." "Yeah, that's... God, Alex, that's profound and sad and beautiful." That night, at 3:47 a.m., my phone didn't ring. I was awake, waiting, but there was no notification, no voicemail, no warning, just silence. It felt final somehow, like a door closing, or maybe a door opening to a future I'd have to navigate on my own. It's been 6 months now. No more voicemails, no more warnings, just silence. I took a different job, one that felt right even though it paid less. Met someone, a woman named Kate, who I never would have met if I'd taken the proxy tech position. Started living more intentionally, paying attention to moments, to choices, to the small decisions that compound into a life. Last month, Proxy Tech made national news, federal investigation, fraud charges, everyone who worked there implicated in systematic embezzlement. Exactly like the voicemail said. I still have all the recordings saved. Sarah and Dr. Martinez are writing a paper about temporal causality loops, using my experience as a thought experiment. They can't prove it happened, but they can't disprove it either. Sometimes I wonder about the version of me who sent those warnings. What did his life look like? What mistakes did he make that he was trying to help me avoid? Did he take that job, end up in prison, lose everything, and then somehow find a way to reach back through time to save a younger version of himself? I got a voicemail from my own phone number. The message I left myself was a warning, but it was more than that. It was a gift, a second chance, a roadmap to a better life, written by someone who'd already lived through the mistakes. I don't know if I'll ever understand how it happened. Maybe I wasn't meant to. Maybe the important thing wasn't the mechanism, but the message. Pay attention, make good choices, and remember that the future isn't inevitable. Every Tuesday at 3:47 a.m., I still wake up just for a moment, listening for that familiar notification tone. But my phone stays silent. The timeline has changed. I'm on a different path now, one where I don't need warnings from my future self because I'm making better choices in the present. And maybe, just maybe, somewhere in some distant future, the version of me that I'm becoming will find his own way to help, to warn, to save someone who needs it. After all, if I learned anything from those 12 weeks of impossible voicemails, it's that time isn't a straight line. It's a web of choices and consequences, of warnings heeded and paths not taken. I got a voicemail from my own phone number. The message I left myself was a warning, and I listened.